Hi, I'm Donald McIntyre, Senior Editor at the ETC Cooperative. This is the Ethereum Classic course, Class 37, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, or DAOs. In the previous class, 36, we explained how ownership records and property registries will likely work on blockchains such as Ethereum Classic, ETC. As legal persons such as corporations, partnerships, and nonprofits are registrable objects that exist outside of blockchains, we explain how these could be transported to programmable blockchains with the aid of ERC20 tokens. In this class 37, we will expand on how individuals or groups will create and manage these kinds of organizations on blockchains that will be defined as decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. What is the firm? In economics, we could say that there are different types of economic agents, the most basic of which are the individual and the firm. The firm is basically a group of individuals who decide to form an organization to pursue a certain goal, which may be for profit or non-profit. In the broader economy, activity is divided between the market and firms. Firms are organizations that individuals form because it would be too costly to procure the services of the group with its division of labor and specialization in the free market on a daily basis. It is more efficient to establish stable contracts where the work is continuous and agreed upon once, rather than to search, hire, and train the same resources all over again more frequently. In modern times, the firm has acquired legal personhood. How do firms exist in the real world? A firm or legal person may be an individual or a group that is recognized as a person for legal purposes, such as for entering into contracts, hiring employees, buying and selling, getting permits and licenses, or to support a cause or a set of beneficiaries. Although there are more variations, legal persons usually exist today in many jurisdictions as corporations, partnerships, or non-profits. These classifications determine the legal and fiscal status of these organizations, such as the extent of their liability, how ownership, control, and shares are distributed, and what tax treatment they will get. In any of the cases, these organizations consist of coordinating the work of people under a certain set of rules to manage treasuries or cash flows. What are DAOs? The acronym DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. The term autonomous is a misnomer, as these entities depend on the instructions of their token holders to perform actions, but it refers more to the act that their code is immutable once deployed on the blockchain. Technically, DAOs are smart contracts on blockchains such as Ethereum Classic that use the native account system of ETC and add the functionality of ERC20 tokens to distribute ownership, control, and shares of the persons who participate in the organization. When they eventually become recognized legally, DAOs will act as legal persons and have shares or tokens, shareholders, partners, revenues, and payments, and they will follow regulations and pay taxes. Just like their traditional counterparts, their tokens will be transferable and tradable in markets such as decentralized exchanges, and mergers and acquisitions will be possible as well. How will DAOs fulfill the role of the firm? As said before, DAOs are smart contracts inside blockchains such as ETC. As organizations that respond to human groups, a way to describe them could be divided in 4 parts. 1. Shareholder control. 2. Rules. 3. Treasury. And 4. Objectives. So this is a diagram that shows the structure of a DAO. Now you have the people, shareholder control, and the people will control the DAO. This is the DAO on the blockchain. This is the code of the DAO. This is your wallet, and through your wallet, you will control your tokens with your private key. You will do the voting, transfers. You're going to receive revenues, payments. The DAO will do payments automatically, pay taxes, and all these things. The DAO then is going to have rules. Each DAO has different governance rules, voting rules, shareholder rules, many kinds of rules that I'm going to talk later. And these are going to be part of the code. The other part is that the DAO itself is going to hold the treasury, and that money that can be an ETC or other ERC20 tokens or whatever, or NFTs or whatever assets the DAO may have, the organization may have. Remember that DAOs can be or corporations or non-profits or partnerships, teams doing open source software, things like that. So they're going to hold money because they're going to have revenues, and that money is going to be distributed to team members or owners or other constituents pay to pay for providers who provide services or resources or things like that, pay taxes. And then you have the objective. The DAO has a goal. Now each DAO is created for a purpose, and it could be for investment purpose, it could be for a charity, it could be for trusts. A trust could be a DAO. Any kind of organization that we use legally today can be coded in smart contracts on Ethereum Classic. You can do a trust, or like in Latin America they do, for example, they form trusts just to make loans where people earn the interest on one side, the investors, and the loans go for people to buy homes or to buy cars or things like that. And then you have pension funds or mutual funds, any kind of funds that are used, for example, university endowments, things like that. Where you're going to have the managers that decide the investments, but they're not going to have the ability to withdraw money. But whoever are the beneficiaries will receive the money, the payments from the pension funds and things like that. And then for business in general, a normal corporation, a partnership, is going to be a DAO in the future. Today they are registered in different states. For example, here in the United States, the one that is most commonly used is Delaware, but in the future it's going to be not in Delaware, but maybe according to the law of Delaware, but the books are not going to be in the books of the government of Delaware. They're going to be on the blockchain, like which it would be perfectly fine for that blockchain to be ETC, because it's the most secure smart contracts blockchain in the world. So I'm going to describe these four parts. 1. Shareholder control. Shareholder control is the facet that DAOs that concerns all its governance aspects. Just as traditional legal persons and organizations have ownership shares, voting, transfers, revenues, expenses, and tax liabilities, DAOs will have ownership tokens, voting through these tokens, token transfers, revenues, expenses, and even tax liabilities. In other words, what we call today shares in normal corporations that trade in a stock exchange, on the blockchain they're called tokens, but they're exactly the same. DAO smart contracts will execute transactions sent by their token holders through their crypto wallets and implement every instruction as traditional corporations do. DAOs will provide an unprecedented level of transparency never seen before, and their records will be orders of magnitude more secure than when stored in traditional systems. 2. Rules. In traditional legal persons, the bylaws are the sets of rules that govern things like the location and jurisdiction of their offices, processing and approving the budget, things concerning shareholders and directors' meetings, voting rights, and powers and duties of directors and management. In DAOs, all these rules will be coded in their smart contracts, and token holders and authorized management will execute their rights and obligations by using their crypto wallets and sending transactions to the decentralized autonomous organizations. 3. Treasury. One of the most important roles of blockchains is securing wealth and treasure. DAOs will hold the treasuries of corporations, partnerships, and non-profits. They will receive the revenues, pay all expenses, pay dividends, and execute these transactions in a composable and automated way. Composability will enable that when income is received, then proportional payments will automatically be sent to all constituents of the organization, such as providers, employees, and token holders. This will enable what may be called continuous cash flows or continuous treasuries, which is the continuous receipt of revenues and continuous payment of contracts, wages, and dividends, rather than at set weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual periods as it is today. 4. Objectives. As corporations, partnerships, and non-profits work today in traditional systems, DAOs will also have specific goals, work in specific industries or economic sectors, and will have either for or non-profit objectives. DAOs will be formed by people or groups for investment purposes, charity, trust, to provide funding for loans, for pension funds, and for business in general. DAOs and the law. It is important to note that corporate personhood is a legal abstraction that will only exist in traditional legal systems, therefore will not be replaced per se. The law between people will not be dissolved or replaced by blockchain systems. The law will adapt to blockchain systems. The fact that people are associated through DAOs does not exempt them from their legal and fiscal obligations. This is very important. Many people are doing DAOs for new things on ETC and issuing tokens and giving tokens to investors, and then they're gonna give tokens to the developers and then buy things, sell things, do businesses, get revenues. These are the fact that you're building a startup or a business and you're not creating a normal corporation in your jurisdiction, like in the United States, Canada, in the UK, France, or Australia, or China, or wherever you are, India, South Africa, Argentina, wherever you are, does not mean that you're exempt from the obligations of a corporation or a partnership. In this case, a non-organized, non-legal entity on the blockchain, yes, you can program it and do a DAO if you can, but you still have the liabilities. And it could be even worse because you don't have a limited liability because it's not formed legally. When you have associations, in this case, put together through a software program on a decentralized blockchain as ETC, that association has no legal liability in most jurisdictions. They're just digamos, raw partnerships. So if something goes wrong, people lose money, and there's a loss, and they can sue whoever organized the DAO, the team, or whoever started it. So this is very important to understand. This relationship between DAOs and the law is very important to understand. Raw DAOs are considered partnerships with no limited liability. They are not exempt from legal tax liability, and DAO tokens can be considered securities. Smart contract code is just the law inside the blockchain. This is what is meant in ETC by code is law. Code is law means that everything is, when you send the smart contract, when you have an account, when you have a balance, when you have ETC, you own ETC or ERC20 tokens or NFT, everything that is going to happen inside ETC, that's immutable, and its code is law, meaning that the code cannot be changed, is immutable, and is going to remain there, and it's highly secure, and nobody can tamper with it in a fraudulent way. But that doesn't mean that things can be legal or not legal. That happens outside of ETC. ETC doesn't care. The DAOs are going to be immutable. And that is what is meant by code is law. It means more or less the law of physics. It cannot be changed. Doesn't matter what happens outside of the blockchain. But outside of the blockchain, humans do live in jurisdictions and under the rule of law. And it's very important for humans to live under the rule of law. So they're not going to be exempt of that. So code is law is in the blockchain. It's like the law of physics. But the law of man is the law of man, and that's going to continue to exist. However, all legal entities will very likely be booked on blockchains such as Ethereum Classic eventually. So it's so much secure, so much transparent, so much better. The property guarantees are guaranteed so much more strongly on Ethereum Classic that I do not see how any jurisdiction in the world will not migrate their corporate booking systems and administration and move all corporate entities and recognize them legally to ETC. It would be very extremely rational not to do that, because today in the majority of jurisdictions, not only corporate bookings or corporate government corporate registries and all that are extremely insecure, because they're just files and in computers that are accessible by their employees and people, and sometimes they get burned and all the corporations disappear. The physical shares, the physical books and all that, with the signatures, with the board meetings minutes and all that, they are kept in very secure places, but they're in many states and provinces and countries and municipalities, and there's many problems. If you talk to lawyers who specialize in this, it is as problematic as the property of real estate. Property in real estate, people think that you have the house and that it's yours, but it happens even in the United States. Like, they can steal your house. You go to the property registry and somehow somebody changed the property from you to the thief, and then it's impossible to prove that you are the owner, because they did it legally, because they are all just manually run systems and archaic systems. But when all of this is on the blockchain, if you have your private keys, there's going to be a much higher level of security of legal entities on the blockchain. And Ethereum Classic is the most secure blockchain in the world, so it's optimal for this and supports smart contracts. Thank you for watching this video, the Ethereum Classic course, class 37, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, or DAOs. If you want to learn more about Ethereum Classic, please go to ethereumclassic.org. Thank you very much.